Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 3699BN. Today's date is July 31st, 2025, and the title of the episode is Durham Annex Released. It proves Obama, Clinton, Soros, etc. We're all in on the coup d'etat. Let's talk about our health. Speaking of digestive issues, this is caused by a potential toxin that's in all of the, quote, healthy foods that scientists have been telling us to eat with a fraudulent food pyramid for the longest time. And this potential toxin causes digestive issues, according to Dr. Gundry, a world-renowned cardiologist. This is affecting millions of people nationwide. Warning signs include weight gain, fatigue, digestive discomfort, and stiff joints, even skin problems. Well, Dr. Gundry explains these side effects are often mistaken for normal signs of aging because digestive issues develop usually over a matter of years and sometimes even decades. I can assure you that the damage is probably caused by these healthy foods, and it is far from normal. The good news is you can easily help fix a problem from your own home. It's very simple. You just have to know which foods are actually healthy and which contain the hidden potential toxin. So you can find this yourself at gutcleanseprotocol.com/X22. That is gutcleanseprotocol.com/X22. Or click the link in the description, because after years of research, Dr. Gundry has decided to release an informative video to the public, free and uninterrupted, showcasing exactly which foods you need to avoid. Go find that video at gutcleanseprotocol.com/X22. That is gutcleanseprotocol.com/X22, or click the link in the description. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, big tech fake news, the puppet masters, they are now in a death spiral. And what's very, very interesting about all of this is that the news came out that the Durham Annex was released. And there's a lot of information in this showing that, yes, Obama, Clinton, Brennan Clapper, even Soros, and many others, they were all involved in creating this gigantic hoax. Actually, what they did was they created a coup d'etat. Now, remember, when Trump was first coming into office, they thought their cheating system, their election cheating system, would be enough to make sure that Trump never got into office. This is why you had Nancy Pelosi, Obama, and the rest saying he'll never, ever be president. They all laughed about it because they knew that their cheating system installed people. They never counted on the Electoral College. This is what basically threw them. And this is why they said, whoa, what's going on here? He just bypassed our cheating system. Remember, they used the popular vote. Remember, Hillary Clinton actually got 3 million more votes than Trump. And since they had their cheating system in place, they always knew that the Electoral College went along with the popular vote. This time, they didn't. And that's why the Electoral College is put into place, to make sure that something like this doesn't happen. And they were shocked when this occurred because they thought, hey, listen, we're going to have a coup. Our cheating system will take care of it. He'll never be president. We won't have to worry about this again. They were shocked when he won. And then they went into overdrive because, again, now he's a duly elected president and they needed a plan to get rid of him. And that's when everything went full speed ahead. They created this coup d'etat. And think about it. They've been battling Trump since that day. It's the same people. It's the same group. And yes, they're the ones who unleashed COVID. They're the ones who overthrew the United States government. They're the ones who pushed all the indictments against Trump when he was running in 2024. They're the ones who tried to kill him multiple times. They are the people that did all of this. And who helped? Because without the fake news, they wouldn't be able to push any of this. Think about it. If they tried to push it and all the fake news didn't go along with it, do you think they'd be able to push the coup d'etat? Do you think they'd be able to push COVID? Do you think they'd be able to overthrow the United States government? Do you really think they would be able to do any of the things that they did? No, they wouldn't have. And what Trump is doing right now, he's showing the people of this country. And yes, there are people already that know all about this. I mean, we studied this going all the way back to 2018, moving forward. We were told about all of this. But think about the rest of the country. The rest of the country, what do they really know? They really don't know who's involved in this. Is this really a coup d'etat? And if you really look at CNN, you look at MSNBC, and you look at all the different other networks, are they all over this? Are they reporting on how Obama and team, they were all involved in the coup d'etat? When you go to NBC News or you go to any of these sites, are they all talking about it? No, they're not. They're not talking about any of these things. Why? Because how do you spin it? There's hard evidence now. There's documented proof. Some individual in the FBI decided to save the burn bag, decided to save the evidence. Who could have that been? We don't know. We'll probably find out. But this is just the beginning. Because you remember, Trump, he took every sling, he took every arrow, he went through it every single day for how many years? 8 years. He's still going through it with the judiciary. He's still going through it. And I don't believe the deep state players, they've stopped. Because again, when news comes out like this, you know they're going to have to try to shut it all down to distract the people. Now, I do believe they tried to do it with a false flag, maybe like a shooting, which we just had in New York City, but that didn't work out too well. Right now, the fake news is just ignoring all of it. But again, the people must know. They must understand who the players are, because this goes way beyond this. Because think about it. They actually overthrew the United States government. They actually had an insurrection against this country. And they released this benign virus onto the public, and they made everyone suffer because they wanted to keep their criminal syndicate system intact. And they didn't want the people to win. That's what this is really all about. So they used everything that they had. Now, Trump, I do believe he led him down this path. Go ahead, overthrow the United States government. We're just capturing the data. We got it all. Keep doing it. Because again, I'm not just going to get you on Russia collusion. I'm going to get you on every single thing that you did. And I want the people to see it. So as Trump releases this information to the public, these people are feeling pain. Yes, Brennan is out there. He's trying to spin everything, trying to convince people, no, it's not what you think it is. But again, it's not going to work. More and more people are going to talk about it. And remember, the fake news, they aren't the news anymore. The fake news, they're going to ignore it as they are right now. But you know what's happening? It's spreading throughout social media. And people, they're starting to hear it all over the place. And it's just going to get worse. This is the pain that Trump is delivering to all these people. He's educating the people right now. You must understand what they did. You must understand who the players are. You must understand how they did it. Because I'm going to bring you down this path. And we're going down the path where I'm going to show you that they're the ones who had the insurrection. They're the ones who overthrow the United States government. They're the ones who released COVID. They're the ones who made you suffer and feel pain. They're the ones who did all of this to this country and to the people of this country. That is what people are going to see. And in the end, you know what's going to happen? There will be no escape. There'll be no spin. The people of this country, they will understand, they will know. And most of these people, they could either take the easy way out, they could try to run, but in the end, it's not going to work. In the end, we are going to get justice on these people. And Trump, he needs to show the people. The people must see it. So this never, ever happens again. It's a message to the entire criminal syndicate system and anyone else that's going to try to do this. That if you try, you will be arrested, tried for treason. So if you attempt to do this right now, once again in a couple of years, the people know. The people are watching. Remember, this is not about a 4-year election, an 8-year election. This is about taking the system back from these people. It's about returning the power to the people of this country. And once the people have the power again, and we're going with the Constitution, once we get rid of all these judges, the prosecutors, and all these other people that are completely against this country, we have the power then. And it's going to be very, very difficult for the deep state players to come back into existence, especially when you remove their funding, which Trump is doing right now. And the funding comes from the Federal Reserve. Remember, they're not using their own money. They're money laundering the money into what they need it for. And when you shut it off and you cut them off, they can't operate. So right now, we're shutting everything down. And eventually, when Trump has complete and utter control over the system, which I do believe we will win the House, we will win the Senate, he'll replace the judges, we'll have all his nominees confirmed. Once we're in a position of power and he has all the leverage, I mean, he has a lot of leverage right now. You could see all this information wouldn't be coming out right now unless he had leverage. It doesn't mean the deep state players aren't going to try to do something. I mean, if they can get their act together, they might try something. And I'm not talking about just like Obama and stuff. I'm talking about those people at the tippy top. Those people that are looking at all this going, okay, what's our next move? Because if we lose control of the central bank, if we lose control of all this, we're done for. So will they try something? Maybe, maybe not. We'll have to see. But everyone should be prepared for something like that. But you can see Trump is in a very comfortable position right now because he knows that he has all the leverage. And he knows that he has control over the agencies. He knows that these agencies will now protect him, protect the people, and they're monitoring the situation. Very, very different from his first term. Very, very different from when Biden was in the White House. You see, he needed to take control of this to keep the people of this country safe. So he has the agencies, he has the military, and it doesn't mean the deep state players won't try something, but he's feeling pretty darn comfortable knowing that everyone is pretty much safe. Now, again, can he keep everyone safe on the local level? Of course not. I mean, that's completely and utterly impossible. Because think about how many towns, cities, and other places there are. But on a grand scale, he can make sure there's no nuclear war. He can make sure that we don't head into a war. And if you notice, he's putting out the fires every single place because what does the deep state players really want? They want us to go to war. This would solve all their problems, wouldn't it? A cyber attack would pretty much maybe solve their problems. Anything that they're going to try right now, I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they already know. And they already have countermeasures in place. And I don't think if they even attempt to do something, it's not going to be what they want it to be. Like with COVID, they were able to push this very, very hard because they had complete and utter control over the fake news. And they kept those tickers on the screens. People were afraid it was an invisible enemy. This time around, Trump is going to play this very, very different. If they try to use an invisible enemy, which is a cyber attack, and they try to convince everyone that something's happening when it really isn't, I do believe Trump has the ability to shut this all down and take control over the entire situation. Plus, this time around, it's very, very different because now we have additional platforms and we're not dependent on the deep state players' platforms. So yes, it's very, very different. Plus, Trump speaks directly to the people. He doesn't go through the fake news. He has his own social media company. He puts everything on social media. Plus, if he's going to do anything, he can speak directly to the people, and the fake news, they're pushed to the side this time around. But we should be aware that they might try something because think about it. As the fake news would say, the walls are closing in on them, and it's going to become very, very difficult for these people to actually even walk the streets in the end. I mean, think how bad this really looks. We'll be talking a lot more about this a little bit later. But first, let's talk about Harvard, because once again, you can see all these different universities. They are now folding and bending the knee to Trump. And Harvard, and Amuse put this out, was planning to spend $20,000 in taxpayer funds to buy 100 AC units for Boston residents. The school claims it can no longer afford to just give away the units on its own dime. Why does Harvard feel the need for federal support to pay for stuff completely unrelated to teaching students? Yeah, that doesn't make any sense whatsoever. And once again, why don't they just use their own funds? Don't they have all this money? just sitting there. Oh, wait, they don't want to use their own money. That's right. But you can see more and more universities right now, they're now settling with the United States government. Trump, he put this out on Truth. He said, congratulations to Brown University on the settlement made with the United States government. There will be no more anti-Semitism or anti-Christian or anti-anything else. Woke is officially dead at Brown. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And once again, you can see that every single university now is taking a knee to Trump. They're folding because, again, they're in the wrong. And this was the deep state's agenda. They were pushing and training the next generation. Now it's completely and utterly falling apart, just like it's completely falling apart with what happened out in Cincinnati. And you could see that the police chief out there was trying to say that, the white individuals, they deserved it. They begged for it. Well, what's very interesting is there's a picture of one of the individuals, and she has this huge black eye, black lips. I mean, you could see that she really received a beating. Libs of TikTok put this out and said, so just to summarize, a city councilor said she begged for this. Police chief said social media is misrepresenting it. A woke judge let the attacker out for $400. And yes, there was a councilwoman, Victoria Parks, who said she was grateful that Holly was beaten unconscious. These people should be removed from their positions immediately. Again, we need to make sure, and again, we know why a lot of these people were put into place, because again, all these elections and everything else, everything is rigged. Once we get rid of the rigged system, we're going to have people that are going to take these positions, and these people are going to actually represent the people in their community, the people in their state, the people in the entire country. Because again, with the rigged system, all they're doing is keeping the same people in government forever. I mean, just look at Schumer, look at Pelosi, look at McConnell, look at all these individuals, the staffers, they never leave. I do believe in government, everyone should have some type of limit. These people should not stay there forever. There should be people that come in and replace them. Remember, our founding fathers never wanted anyone to stay in government forever. They wanted people to have a job or own a business, come into government, serve, and then leave, keeping their connection to the people on the street. But what do we have today? We have these people that are completely disconnected, people that are installed, people that made their lives in politics, which is absolutely ridiculous. And I do believe in the end, everything is going to change. Because again, government should just be a specific time period to serve your country. And then you go back to your life. This way, you don't have a criminal syndicate that is entrenched in D.C., entrenched in other places. But we'll have to see how this plays out. I do believe Trump is leaning towards this. Now, the other thing that's very interesting is that auto accidents, they have fallen by 10% in major cities amid reports of lighter traffic. Now, a lot of people are saying, listen, because of the deportations, what we're seeing now is all these illegals, they're being removed, and we're seeing less accidents now. DC Drainer responded to this and said, literally every single part of our lives gets better when with mass deportations. And I do believe he's absolutely correct on this. And you can see that the deep state players, they're panicking over everything that Trump is doing. And this time around, Trump is not holding back. He's not saying, oh, we can't do this. He's plowing through everything that he wanted to do. And every time the deep state players or the D's or the fake news try to call him out on it, guess what? The people don't care what they're saying. They don't believe them. They don't care. They're with the president. And you could see all the D's, they're all in lockstep in calling out Trump in regards to Medicare and Medicaid. And you could see Sheldon Whitehouse. You could see Representative Norm Torres, Hakeem Jeffries, Governor Josh Shapiro, Steny Hoyer, Dick Durbin, Cory Booker, and many, many, many others. They all put out the exact same message. For 60 years after Medicare and Medicaid became law, Trump gutted them. His big, ugly bill will strip healthcare from the 15 million people, 2.3 million in California, 28 rural hospitals will shut down. No, what it's going to do, it's going to remove all the illegals that have been sucking the benefits out of Medicare and Medicaid. That is what it's going to do. And this is what they're most afraid of. They're afraid that, wait a minute, all the illegals that come into this country who are getting the benefits, getting pay, who they protect, they're going to be losing all of this, which means these individuals, they'll be just without any of it. And again, this is going to be a major problem for them because once all this is removed from these people, they can't use these people to what? Cheat? To pretend that they're citizens? They lose control over all these people because remember, they're handing out money, they're handing out benefits, they're handing out everything. When it's all gone, how do you keep them? How do you make them do the things you want them to do? It's very, very difficult, especially when they're on their own, if they actually do want to become a citizen. And when they start to realize, wait a minute, I'm not dependent on these people anymore and I actually have to work for it. Well, guess what? I'm going to do what's best for my family then. Now, most of these people, they're not family members. Most of these people are going to be deported. Most of these people are criminals. So most of these people are going to be removed. And this is why the D's are so panicked right now. And Trump, he's shifting everything to help the people of this country and those people that defend this country. He has now signed a bill to help prevent home foreclosure among American veterans. Now, number one, those people who defend our nation, those people that serve our nation, their homes should have never, ever been taken away from them. And the people that serve this nation to keep us free, they should be put on a pedestal. They are the protected class, not the trans movement. These people should get every benefit, not the illegals. They should get the best health care, not the illegals. They should be the ones that we take care of because they went out there, they put their lives on the line. They could be killed. A lot of people were killed. These are the people that we should be protecting. And that's exactly what Trump is doing right now. He's protecting all of these people. And I do believe he's going to continue to protect all these people as we go down the line. And you can see the deep state players, everything that they set up in their criminal system, well, it's all completely and utterly falling apart. And actually, Trump is going to be streamlining everything. And these long call waits and the way the government works, I think everything is about to change. I mean, think about what Elon did. He had a lot of libtards working in X. A lot of them. Did nothing in there. He got rid of most of them and shrunk it way, way down. Is X still running okay? Actually, X is running better than ever. What do you think Trump and team and Doge, what do you think they're going to do? They're going to get rid of all these people that are a waste, that really don't do anything, and they're going to shrink it down, and it's going to work. It's going to be efficient. It's going to run beautifully. And people are going to be absolutely shocked when they see this. Now, Trump, since he came back from Scotland, we know that the UK, they are now censoring people. They're going after certain social media companies. And Trump, he is warning the UK Prime Minister to stop threatening American companies. Charlie Kirk put this out and said, President Trump has warned UK Prime Minister to stop threatening American companies with the country's absurd new Online Safety Act. American companies like X, Truth, and Meta are forced to either censor speech or face severe fines. Fun fact, UK's ridiculous anti-free speech law even prohibits illegal content that criticizes illegal immigration and people smuggling. If our allies in Europe do not treat free speech as sacrosanct, then the Western world will collapse. America should absolutely use every form of leverage we have to insist they live up to their own values and ideals. And you have to remember, these countries, they don't have the First Amendment. Not like the United States. This is why they can push the hate speech laws. This is why they can say this is what you can say, what you can't say. They tried it here in this country, but guess what? It doesn't work. Because again, the Constitution protects we the people. The government must abide by our contract. They signed our contract. See, in other countries, it's the other way around. The government gave the people a contract, and they don't have to follow it. So once again, we could see it's very, very different here in the United States. And we could see that Trump now, he is putting a lot of pressure on Brazil. He's actually increasing the tariffs there. And he is now going after certain individuals like Judge Voldemort. He does look like Voldemort, but this is Alexandre de Moraes. And remember, he was used to stop Bolsonaro. He was going after Elon Musk. And now we could see that, well, the time has come that he is sanctioned. Autism Capital put this out and said, infamous Brazilian Judge Voldemort, Alexandre de Moraes, who gained notoriety after deliberately targeting Elon Musk and X in Brazil, has officially been sanctioned by the U.S. and has had all his assets frozen and barred from doing business. F around, find out. And you can see at this point, these installed individuals in Canada, France, UK, and probably other places, they're all now getting together, and you can see this is all planned, where they're going to recognize Palestine as a state in September. So basically, they're bullying Israel, they're bullying Trump, and you can see that France, UK, and Canada have now all joined together. Trump responded to Carney and said, wow, Canada has just announced that it is backing statehood for Palestine. That will make it very hard for us to make a trade deal with them. Oh, Canada. And once again, you have to remember, who do you think is pushing all these protests here in the United States and around the world? It's the same exact people. Remember, Palestine, this is their state-funded terrorist group. And I don't know why people are believing Hamas and what's coming out of Palestine, where there's people that are starving and things like that. And this is absolutely ridiculous. You know what's interesting? The American healthcare system is broken. Big pharma charges an arm and a leg for their product, while insurance companies are focused on growing healthcare spending. So I'm always researching ways to take care of myself naturally. And one of those overlooked factors is improving your blood flow. That means more oxygen and nutrients to your brain, heart, muscles, and even places that need a little extra help as you age. I use Blood Flow 7 from Juvenon. It works by boosting nitric oxide levels to 230% and opening arteries up to 62% to improve blood flow. With just one dose a day, it helps improve my stamina, energy, focus, and supported my heart health, all without caffeine or stimulants. It's doctor formulated, scientifically backed, with premium and natural ingredients. Look, I wouldn't share it if it didn't work for me. Go to bloodflow7.com/X22 or click the link in the description below to learn more today. Why would you believe a state-funded nation? Think about that for a second. And every time they come out with this, it's always debunked over and over and over. And think about it. Has Hamas made a deal? Have they said, okay, we'll return all the hostages? No, they haven't. Ask yourself why. So the U.S. right now, they impose sanctions on Palestinian authorities and PLO officials, including denying visas for failing to meet commitments. Trump responded to everything and said, the fastest way to end the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is for Hamas to surrender and release the hostages. So if the Palestinian, they want peace, they want to go on with their lives, why don't they turn on Hamas? Why isn't there an uprising? Because a lot of these individuals are intertwined with Hamas. And you can see that as of right now, it's a state-funded terrorist system. And who's funding it? The deep state, of course. That's why you have Canada, Carney, who's installed, Macron, who's installed, Keir Starmer, who's installed. They're all the same. This is why they're pushing all of this at the same time. I mean, I remember going back in time when we were in Syria and they kept saying that Assad was gassing his own people. And it turned out, wait a minute, it wasn't Assad. It was the Islamic State that was doing that. And who was controlling the Islamic State? Who was bombing so the Islamic State would grow and actually capture more territory? Oh, that was Obama. So why in the world would people believe what is coming out of that area? I mean, who are the sources? Who's actually seeing this? Does anyone really have proof of what's going on? People say they do, but when you start to backtrack and you start to look at where all this is coming from, the sources are very, very weak. And it seems that people are just repeating a lot of these things. So Trump, he's letting everyone know, listen, to end all of this, Let's get rid of Hamas. Have them surrender. He said this before. Actually, he said, well, it looks like we're going to have to hunt them down. Why would he say we have to hunt down Hamas? Remember, it's a terrorist group. They used to, hide under hospitals? They used to hide under schools. They used to build their bases there, put their weapons there. They didn't care what happened to the people there. Actually, it's almost like Ukraine. The neo-Nazis in Ukraine, where did they set up shop? They set up shop in shopping centers, in hospitals, in schools. And then they lied about, oh, look, Russia fired a missile and hit a hospital. Oh, wait, no, it wasn't. It was Ukraine. It was their missile that they fired and it malfunctioned and fell on the hospital. Again, you could see it's the same exact people over and over and over. It's the deep state trying to push their agenda, but it's failing, just like everything else. Actually, we could see that Nancy Pelosi is in trouble right now. Remember, Trump has called her out, saying you're doing inside trading. And of course, Nancy Pelosi appeared on CNN with Jake Tapper, and she said this is ridiculous. Actually, she didn't even want to really answer. And she said, no, I'm not doing anything wrong. My husband is doing all the trades. Well, really think about it. All these people that launder the money, they say, I'm not doing anything. They launder it to their spouses. So Nancy Pelosi just has her spouse doing the trades. She's feeding him the information. He's doing the trades. I mean, is that really that difficult? Absolutely not. And again, how did she make all this money? You're telling me that her husband is so good that he has the ability to beat, 70% of the hedge fund managers? He's that incredible. You know, the guy that, was holding a hammer and a drink in his underwear when he opened the door and his boyfriend was standing right next to him? I mean, come on. Is anyone really believing this? I don't think so. Carolyn Levitt said the following. Autism Capital put this out. The reason banning members of Congress from trading stocks is a thing is because of Nancy Pelosi. She is rightfully criticized because she makes $174,000 a year, yet she has a net worth of $413 million. In 2024, Nancy Pelosi's stock portfolio grew 70% in 1 year and outperformed every single large hedge fund and doubled even the returns of Warren Buffett's Berkshire Hathaway. The president stands with the American people on this and doesn't want to see people like Nancy Pelosi enriching themselves off of public service and ripping off their constituents in the process. Absolutely. Now, what's very interesting is that we know that Josh Hawley, he introduced the Pelosi Act, and something happened during this period of time. Now, the Pelosi Act is Preventing Elected Leaders from Owning Securities and Investment Act. And he's pushing this, but there was an amendment tied to this, and Senator Josh Hawley did not like this. So a bill that he created aimed at banning members of Congress, the president, the vice president, and their spouses from trading or holding individual stocks while in office. On July 30th, 2025, Hawley was the only Republican to vote with Democrats on the Senate Homeland Security and Governmental Affairs Committee to advance this legislation out of committee, passing it by an 8-4 vote. During the committee process, Hawley joined Democrats in blocking an amendment proposed by Senator Rick Scott, Republican of Florida, which would have required a review or investigation into Nancy Pelosi's stock trading activities over the past 25 years. This amendment had support from nearly all other Republicans, but was defeated, reportedly after information about it was released shortly before the vote. Hawley later stated that he had a conversation with Trump, who reiterated support for banning stock trading by figures like Pelosi, though Trump publicly criticized Hawley for blocking the review. Pelosi herself expressed support for Hawley's bill. Yes, Hawley's bill is fine, but why didn't he want her to be investigated? That doesn't make any sense. Trump, he put this out, and he said the following. Why would one Republican, Senator Josh Hawley, from the great state of Missouri, join with all the Democrats to block a review sponsored by Senator Rick Scott and with the support of almost all other Republicans of Nancy Pelosi's stock trading over the last 25 years? The information was inappropriately released just minutes before the vote, very much like sabotage. The Democrats, because of our tremendous achievements and success, have been trying to target me for a long period of time. And they're using Josh Hawley, who got elected twice as a pawn to help them. I wonder why Hawley would pass a bill that Nancy Pelosi is in absolute love with. He is playing right into the dirty hands of the Democrats. It's a great bill for her and her husband, but so bad for our country. I don't think real Republicans want to see their president, who has had unprecedented success, targeted because of the whims of a second-tier senator named Josh Hawley. Absolutely. So why shouldn't we investigate her? We should. And I do believe there needs to be an investigation. We'll have to see how this all plays out. Now, the other thing that we could see is that the Durham Annex classified information came out. It was all declassified. And we know that there was a burn bag of information that was not destroyed. It was saved. And there was an individual that actually saved this. 17 Absolute Redo 76 put this out and said, it's crazy how all the FBI corruption that stayed buried for years all of a sudden began creeping to the surface while Wray was the director. Crazy that thousands of documents sat in a room in burn bags for years, but Wray never saw fit to make sure they actually got burned. Also crazy that Wray visited every single field office in the first 6 months on the job, almost like he was getting the lay of the land. Like I've said for years, folks should really familiarize themselves with the Culper ring and their tactics. Now, this is very, very interesting because we know within the Coup post, it says, Ray's a sleeper. Now, once again, was Wray actually keeping this, or were there someone else in the FBI actually keeping all this information and making sure that it wasn't destroyed? Now, that is very, very interesting. I do believe very, very soon we're going to find out who it is. And General Mike Flynn said all of these burn bag documents will have fingerprints on these documents. If you were one of the people responsible for trying to destroy this evidence, you need to come forward now. So this is going to be very, very interesting as we move forward. Now, remember, Hillary Clinton, Obama, Brennan, Clapper, Soros, and many, many others, they were all behind this. And they're the ones who created the coup d'etat. And what's very interesting, we know that Brennan, Clapper, Hillary Clinton, Comey, and the rest, they continually went on the fake news and they actually built the narrative up. Hillary Clinton and James Comey and many others also tweeted out during this period of time, adding fuel to the fire. Remember when Hillary Clinton put this out? Computer scientists have apparently uncovered a covert server linking the Trump organization to a Russia-based bank. Well, we know that she's the one who created all this. She's the one who paid for it. It was in the Durham trial. Hillary Clinton was responsible for all that, and she put out a tweet blaming it on Trump, but she's the one who created that. Isn't that interesting? And when Robert Mueller was investigating all of this, guess what? He never interviewed any of the actors like Brennan, Clapper, and the rest. Paul Sperry put this out and said, Special Counsel Robert Mueller never interviewed John Brennan or James Clapper and just treated their sham, politicized ICA as the gold standard. Worse, Mueller commissioned Brennan's handpicked ICA author, Susan Miller, a fellow Trump hater, to help author his own report. Now, isn't that interesting? So the Durham Annex was declassified. And we've come to learn that Hillary Clinton conspired with Obama's FBI to fabricate the Russian collusion, which I think we all know. Susan Miller right now, and Paul Sperry put this out, now confesses she in fact did not write the ICA. Who put her up to this media charade? Susan Miller conned NBC News, CNN, CBS News, Michael Isikoff, into thinking she was the lead author of the ICA. She is either a complete wackadoodle or she was sent out there to shield the real author. Was the real author someone that worked for Hillary Clinton? Most likely, yes. Was the real author Brennan? Did he edit the ICA? Oh, of course he did. Paul Sperry, once again. Despite testifying under oath, he had no hand in drafting the ICA. Sources familiar with the drafting of the ICA say Brennan personally edited parts of the final draft. And CIA witnesses could attest to his role in changing wording in the doc if asked by FBI in perjury probe. So let's say Brennan had a hand in this. Many people had a hand in this. This is very, very interesting. And you can see what's happening right now. People now are learning how they created this hoax. There was never any Russian collusion. This was all created by the criminal syndicate players. Susan Rice put this out and said, the Trump administration's ongoing lies about the intelligence assessment that Russia interfered in the 2016 election thoroughly debunked. Its shameless, dishonest, defamatory scheme to distract from Epstein. Sean Davis responded to her and said, we can see the exact quote and bullet point and footnote citing the Steele dossier in the secret version of the ICA you peddled, right? And that we know you produced a separate version that you gave Congress where you excised the Steele experts to cover your tracks, right? She's caught in all of this. And again, this just proves that they were trying to use Epstein to cover and distract from what is coming out right now. And that completely failed. And think about it. They went ahead and they used the cyber attack on the DNC server, and they used this to convince everyone that it was Russia. And then they had CrowdStrike come in to investigate, not the FBI, CrowdStrike. They came in and investigated, and they set the whole thing up. But from the documents now, we can see the individual that has been orchestrating all of this, and it leads all the way back to Soros. Hans put this out and said, in absence of direct evidence, CrowdStrike and Threat Connect will supply the media. CrowdStrike isn't an IT firm. It's a Democratic Party protection racket, court-running interference for Hillary while cosplaying as cybersecurity experts. Burn it all down and salt the earth. CrowdStrike and Threat Connect companies from where the information would then be disseminated through leading U.S. publications. This is straight from the Clinton plan to frame Trump for Russia collusion, and CrowdStrike was a key conspirator in the operation. Crucially, the CIA assessed that this information was authentic. Durham reached a similar conclusion, confirming that they knew in real time that Clinton orchestrated the Russia collusion hoax, yet they still went after Trump anyway. So that is very, very interesting. And you can see there were a lot of people that were involved in the FBI, CIA. They were actually threatened to lie about what is really happening, because a lot of the people said, well, everything you tell me is fake, phony, and false. This doesn't make any sense. Technofog put this out and said, from Durham's classified appendix, authentic July 2016 emails discuss Hillary Clinton's plan to demonize Putin and Trump. Predictions that the FBI will put more oil into the fire. Hillary approved the idea about Trump and Russia hackers hampering U.S. elections. Regarding proving up the DNC, DCC hack and leak, in absence of direct evidence, CrowdStrike and Threat Connect will supply the media with information. So basically, we have these individuals who were creating all of this, and they were creating a narrative out of nothing. And when you start to look at this, you can see there are certain individuals like Leonard Bernardo, and now he's basically a top executive at George Soros Open Society. How did he know that CrowdStrike would be used to manipulate the media? How did he know this? Sean Davis says, how did Leonard Bernardo, now a top executive at George Soros Open Society Foundation, know on July 25th, 2016, that Comey's FBI was going to put more oil into the fire of Hillary's Russian collusion hoax? Even more interesting, in light of questions about the nature of the DNC hack, is that Bernardo said CrowdStrike would be used to manipulate the media in the absence of direct evidence about who actually hacked the DNC. Very, very interesting. So basically, they were all orchestrating all of this, and they were planning all of this. And now we have Mike Benz, who's pointing to an email from Leonard Bernardo. It says, say something like a critical infrastructure threat. Mike Benz says, holy F shit. This in the goddamn classified index that has been classified for 9 goddamn years. This is where they cooked up the critical infrastructure hoax that created the legal predicate cover for the entire censorship industrial complex. Amazing. So now we have George Soros that is involved in all of this. And John Solomon says, this is the smoking gun evidence inside Durham Annex. If it is authenticated by further investigation, it means liberal mega donor George Soros team knew the whole Clinton plan for Russiagate hoax 4 days before FBI opened up probe, and so did Obama, Brennan, and Comey, because they were all involved in all of this. They were all involved in creating this gigantic hoax. They put it together just like you would put together a movie. And they had the actors, they had the people to play certain parts, they had the fake news backing them up. And remember, without the fake news, this could never, ever happen. Nick Kyle says CBS, ABC, and NBC spent 2,300 minutes on Trump Russia in 2016 and 2017. Fast forward to 2025, the same three networks have spent under 3 minutes discussing Obama Russia. The media doesn't even try to hide it. Molly responded to this and said, a great reminder that the Obama team's conspiracy against America would not have gone very far if they hadn't had such excellent co-conspirators in the media. Now remember, the media was also a co-conspirator in COVID when they overthrew the United States government, because they're the ones who kept the fear up and they kept the idea that COVID was spreading. They had their tickers. They were getting fed the information. Now, they could have done their own research. Even the doctors that appeared on their show, they knowingly went ahead with this narrative. They were co-conspirators throughout this entire grand conspiracy. So now we know that Russia didn't influence the 2016 election. A whistleblower indicates that other nations interfered. So who were these other nations? Was it our allies? Most likely, yes. I do believe they assisted in all of this. Clandestine put this out and said, do you see what's happening? We're being briefed. Trump and his team already know where this trail ends, and they're giving it to the public in digestible chunks. This is not being done flippantly. This rollout is coordinated. The ramifications of this are colossal. Trump would not have committed to move on this magnitude unless he already had a victory securely in hand. Trump would not have instructed Tulsi to begin this rollout if they did not know the outcome. They are not just finding this information. Trump knew the entire time. This is just the public rollout phase. Trump has been waiting for the proper time to strike, and he only would have struck if he believed victory was guaranteed. The fact that there is structure and coordination to this rollout leads me to believe it is happening. Trump and his team are carefully briefing the public and preparing us for what must be done. And I do believe this is going to lead into many other areas, because this is just the beginning. You have to remember, he's going to show everyone that these individuals, it's the same individuals that released COVID, that overthrew the United States government, that were involved in the insurrection on January 6th, that went after him with indictment, and an assassination attempt. They're the same people that are using the judiciary. It's the same people over and over and over. They're protecting their entire criminal syndicate system. And Joshua Reed, Red Pills TV, put this out and said, do you understand? Q is being validated in real time. Future proves past. Clinton and DNC were proxies for Soros through the Open Society Foundation. Where does Soros lead? Right to the top of the pyramid. And remember, each side of the pyramid is being taken out right now. And then he listed a couple of posts here. Post 3994, April 28, 2020. How does Soros calm secure with DNC leaders? Interesting. And then post 299, December 7, 2017. It says Soros. Go on to post 416, December 21st, 2017. Soros takes orders from P. You have no idea how sick and evil these people are. Fight, fight, fight. Days of days. Game over. And then we have post 275, December 5th, 2017. It says fly with 2 pluses on either side. Banks control governments. Governments control people. Saudi Arabia controls elected people. Soros controls organizations of people ready to play. And if you notice, Trump has been dismantling the entire system and removing each side of the triangle. And I do believe the power that Soros, the Rothschilds, and the rest, the power that they have, or they think they have, well, Trump is much, much more powerful right now. And I do believe that Trump now has the leverage and has the strength. It doesn't mean that they're not going to try to strike back. It means that he's in a very good position. He has the people behind him. He has the military. He has the agencies. He has everything that he needs. The judiciary, they can't do anything. Does it mean that the deep state players, Soros and team and others, does it mean that they won't try something? I do believe they probably will if they can get it off the ground. Depends on where they are today with their funding and their strength. I think they're very, very weak. So will they try to do something to try to block all this? Because if they don't, they're screwed big time. Which leads me to believe that they'll probably try something. And anytime news comes out like this, they need a distraction. Let's go back to post 3568. This is a Delta, July 31st, 2019. 24-hour warning. Be vigilant. See something, say something. Know your surroundings at all time. 1792. It says, what happens when you are a threat to the mainstream media old guard? Coincidence? Threats? Scare tactics deployed. Fear not. So I do believe, yes, they might try something, but I do believe Trump and the Patriots, they already know this. And if they do, they already have countermeasures. Now, it might look a little scary in the beginning, but I think in the end, I think we're going to see that Trump, he's going to counter whatever they're trying to do. And eventually what's going to happen is we know that they're going to be pushing riots across the country because, again, they don't want to be arrested. They don't want to be held accountable. And now that everyone is learning who they are and they've committed treason, think about it. They're learning that now. Even the D's are starting to learn this. Not everybody, but as the information continually is brought out into the open and people start going, holy crap, these people are treasonous to this country. Look what they did with Trump here. Oh, maybe it's all fake. Maybe the D's are saying, oh, it's all fake. And then all of a sudden, evidence comes out, shows that these individuals, they pushed COVID. They lied about COVID. They overthrew the United States government with a cheating system. I mean, when people start to learn this and they start to learn it's the same exact people are going to realize that, wait a minute, what's going on here? Do we really have a criminal syndicate here? Because they're responsible for this too. Oh my God, they're responsible for the assassination attempt on Trump. They're responsible for everything, which means they're going to use their illegals, whatever's left of them, to try to distract people and most likely to riot. And Trump, he put this out on Truth. This is a meme that someone else put out, and it says the following. Sanctuary city mayors are defying federal law. There are insurrectionists, just like the Southern governors during the Civil War. And there's a picture of Abraham Lincoln. President Trump should declare martial law in those cities, arrest the mayors, appoint military governors, and restore the rule of law. Lisa May responded to all this and said, POTUS retruth this. We were told what's coming. She's pointing to post 22, and it says, what former president used the military to save the republic, and what occurred exactly? Yes, in certain cities, there was martial law, and Abraham Lincoln and his forces, they took control. And I do believe in the end, that's what's going to happen when these people realize that, hey, they're coming to get us. Some of these people are going to take the easy way out. They're going to push riots to distract so they can run. But I think in the end, it's all not going to work the way they think it's going to work. And this is why they're so upset that Trump is now removing their illegals in all these different blue cities. Because, again, they need them for chaos. And, yes, for many other agendas. Now, the other thing that we could see is that yesterday we talked about the blue sips. Trump was very pissed off with Senator Chuck Grassley. But you have to remember, it's not just him. It's the other senators within the Senate. And Mike Davis explains, again on the blue slips, the problem isn't Senator Chuck Grassley, who is President Trump's most effective ally in Congress. The problem is there are not 51 Senate votes that get rid of the blue slips for a U.S. District Court, U.S. Attorney, and U.S. Marshal nominees. So any of these nominees who don't get the blue slips from both of their home state senators will simply lose on the Senate floor. If we get 51 Senate Republicans to support getting rid of blue slips, then we can move forward. And that's something that needs to be done. But I do believe that it will all be done. I do believe his nominees will be confirmed. And he'll have his people in position. And you could see the D's, they're very, very upset about voter ID. Because remember, Trump, he issued an executive order for voter ID. We know that we'll be coming up to the midterms, not this year, but next year. And you could see that if they don't, I'm talking about the D's, if they don't win the midterms, they're completely and utterly screwed. Because think about the control that Trump and the Patriots would have. We have control of all the agencies. They're cleaning out the agencies. He has the military. He has the people behind him. Once we have control of the House and we have control of the Senate, well, it's game over for them. They have no power left. And they might have some state-funded terrorists and other people on the outskirts, but in reality, they really have no power, especially with USAID being shut down. NGOs aren't receiving their money, and he is now removing the security clearances for all these different people. I do believe he's probably going to be removing a lot more security clearances. It means that they have no information, they have no strength, they have no funding, they don't have the people in the House and the Senate. The judges will be removed. At this point in time, Trump and the Patriots, they'll have the strength, they'll have the leverage, and we could see where all this is headed. Because once we have that, the accountability phase can then begin. And I do believe we're going to see accountability. We're going to see arrest. We're going to see justice. Why? Because the Patriots are in control. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.